Hey, it's Alex from BoardGameCo, and lots of stuff happening in this video today, so if you don't watch my entire videos, well, first of all, shame on you, and secondly, the timestamps are right down below so you can skip to whichever relevant parts you want to watch. Now, what's going on here? To begin with, 10,000 subscribers. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll be putting out a video probably next week sometime covering a full in detail channel update, what's going on, the future, you know, the 10,000 subscriber thank you, all that stuff. But for right now, thank you. That's basically it. Just thanks for helping this channel get there. I really appreciate it. As far as giveaway, because that does mean we have 7 days to go on the Massive Darkness Kickstarter. I said if we hit 10K before the Kickstarter ends, we are doing a Heavenfall pledge. In fact, on Sunday's video, I'll link to that down below because there are a bunch of giveaway announcements and whatnot. But I even upped it to say that for every additional 500 subscribers we get past 10,000, I'll be adding an optional buy, and we'll be covering some of those optional buys in this video, but I'll be adding an optional buy. So for instance, if we hit 11.5 before the Massive Darkness campaign ends, that will be the Heavenfall pledge plus 3 add-ons. So, you know, the more subscribers we get, the better in terms of that giveaway. That being said, how are you eligible for this giveaway? Comment down below. Whatever you want. Could be something as simple as Kingdom Death Monster is the worst, or Massive Darkness is better than Kingdom Death Monster, or anything really, anything at all. I don't actually dislike Kingdom Death Monster. I just like trolling it for some reason. I can't imagine why. But in any case, whatever your comment may be, if it's as simple as a hi, goodbye, or even a quack, reluctantly I will accept quacks as an entry, unfortunately. But this video, just comment in this video and you are eligible to win the Massive Darkness 2 Heavenfall giveaway. As far as what's next, okay. So we talked about that. Oh, and also, there'll be a video a little bit later today. I don't usually do 2 videos a day per channel. I don't usually do 2 videos a day on this channel. But there will be a video on the Wormwood gaming table and Should You Back It going up at 11 a.m. So that's 1 hour from this video. So enjoy this, watch this one, and then just you know, give yourself a little time out, water cooler, and then come right back for that. So let's talk about Massive Darkness, because a lot's going on here. 1, let's talk about these stretch goals. So, we got the stretch goals over here. Where do we have them over here? We have all the daily rewards and the stretch goals and the add-ons. So, we're going to cover those. To begin with, we have the Necromancer class. Okay, so we're basically going to go a quick overview of the campaign. I'm going to talk a bit about the Kickstarter and about things people are upset about, what my own opinion is of them, and all that stuff. And then from there, we're going to go into the usual should you back it, doesn't make sense, does it not. Spoiler alert, generally on Command campaign, the answer is yes, you should back it if you are interested in the game. It will hold its value. You're pretty safe there. There you go, I just saved you 25 minutes. I will see you tomorrow, or maybe in an hour at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Anyways, so Necromancer class components, that's the first day 1. This campaign has been split up into daily stretch goals, as well as daily reveals, as well as monetary stretch goals. So I'm just going to go through all of that. We have day 1, we have Necromancer class. Day 2, we have one of the Necromancers. Day 3, we have another Necromancer. These are interesting sculpts, and we're going to come back to that when we talk about the things people are upset about. Speaking for myself, I'm totally fine with them, but I also don't think I have a Raising the Dead vibe from either of them. So, you know, it is what it is. Day 4, we have the Paragon, a roaming monster. Day 5, we have the Monk class. Day 6, we have one of the Monk sculpts. Day 7, we have another Monk sculpt. I love the Monk sculpts. I feel they're very Monk looking. From there, we have Day 8, we have 6 Dark Pixie minions, very different. A Dark Pixie leader on Day 10, on Day 9. On Day 10, we have 6 Harpy minions. On Day 11, we have the Harpy leader. On Day 12, we have the roaming monster, Queen I don't know, Queen something Nidra, okay? Saynadra, Canadra, I don't know how to pronounce that. But this one's pretty cool. I really like the sculpt a lot, and also it's like fairy looking, so my daughter will love it. I find my boys like playing with miniatures. Whenever I get a miniature game, my boys like playing with them a lot more. My daughter likes select miniature games. She likes, what does she like? She actually likes Rise of Moloch, which is her favorite one is the baby carriage with tentacles coming out of it. So a good hybrid of girly-like preferences with a little bit of a gamer spin, you know, Cthulhu baby carriage, yay. Anyways, day 13, we have the Cupid mob, and this is where people started to really lose their minds in the comments, okay? People are not happy with the sculpts going on for this campaign. Day 14, we have the Punnycorn mob, okay? That is bunch of unicorns. Again, my daughter's going to be thrilled. My daughter is going to be happier with this campaign than I am, and the rest of the comment section is not going to be thrilled. And from there, we have the monetary stretch goals. 450, we have the roaming monster. This day 600k, we had 6 Naga minions. Personally, I didn't like these sculpts. I thought they looked very reminiscent of one of the sculpts from Project Elite, and I didn't like that one either. Don't like the way the snakes are leaning, whatever. It's all good. I'm allowed to not like something. I like the rest of the stuff. Naga Leader, we have Ivan the Berserker, we have the Roaming Monster, look at this guy with his little tail and legs standing out, a staff and all that stuff. We have Shaman Spirits, we have Nymph Minions, we have Nymph Leader, we have the Hera the Paladin, is it Hera, Gera, I don't know. Anyways, we have Prologue Campaign Booklets, some Massive Darkness 1 stuff, which is very relevant to things people are upset about. From there we have 3 boss dashboards for, again, Massive Darkness 1 content, Roaming Monsters for additional levels, we have Scorpion King Boss, we have the campaign cards, the Mist Rogue, the Asmodeus Roaming Monster. This one's pretty cool sculpt. Got a pretty cool, lots of cool sculpts. I really like this stuff. Not everyone does, I do. Cassiel the Shaman, we have Griffin the Roaming Monster, we have 2100, we have this cool boat thing coming up. I hope that's a Necromancer, that'd be cool. I don't think it is because, I mean, I think the color's off. What's color we have? For, I don't know, doesn't look like we have. So yeah, I don't know what this thing is. I hope that it's a Necromancer. That would be great. This guy gives me serious Raising the Dead vibes, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a bad guy, so don't keep your hopes up from there. And keep in mind, we have 7 days left. Lots more coming. That's just a quick overview of the stretch goals being added to this campaign. That is all stuff that is going to be in your pledge. Whether you went for the Hellscape pledge or the Heavenfall pledge, there's a lot of additional content. I just told you everything that is being added for free to your pledge. And I know it's not for free. We'll cover that too, don't worry. I mean, it is for free, just to be clear, but it's taken into account versus the amount of content you're going to get. So, from there, let's jump to the add-ons. The add-ons, where are the add-ons? I know I have them here somewhere. Let's just go through the actual, updates themselves. So to begin with, we have a core set sleeve box, as well as a game genic. So that's $25 for sleeves to cover the whole core game, not all the add-ons. I'm sure there'll be another add-on in terms of adding, and here's all the sleeves for your expansion content later. We'll cover that towards the end of the campaign. Token chest. We have a giant token chest for another $25. You can buy as many of these as you want. They'll store your tokens. Game genic. Might be great. We'll come back to the add-on. Actually, no, I'll just do it right now. This is probably a terrible buy. If you want it, go ahead and get it. But it's game genic. It's overpriced for what you're getting. There are a lot of better options out there. Anything from aftermarket stuff like Broken Token or whatever, or just pay $2 and get a little plastic tackle box. This one does seem overpriced, both the sleeves as well as the actual token tray itself. But I'm sure there will be people who will buy it because everyone is different and many people will value it. I don't, and I think it's probably a hard pass. Won't hold its value in my opinion. From there we have the 3D pack. This whole update is a whole bunch of miniature 3D stuff and whatnot. We have the Hellscape stuff. These all replace tokens that go on the board. $20 for a whole bunch of, roughly 20 plus, various tokens to replace otherwise cardboard tokens. We have just some more in detail pics of them. And then from there I'm going to scroll quickly. We have the Doors and Bridges, which was brought, I think the original campaign had Doors and Bridges. It definitely had doors. I don't remember if it had bridges too, but this is just, more stuff to put on your board to replace what would otherwise be a token. And then from there we have even more stuff, Chest and Pillars. The original campaign definitely had this. This is different sculpts, different options, but again, just giving you a lot of stuff. Total value, everything here is roughly, I think, $50 was it? Was it 20 maybe? I don't remember exactly. 20 plus 15, so $45 to get all these 3D stuff. We'll come back to that. Hellscape Frost Dice. Okay, so the Hellscape Frost Dice are either $16 for the what's it called, the core pledge, the base pledge of the campaign, or alternatively it's $22 to get if you're getting the Heavenfall pledge, the $22 one will give you enough dice for the Heavenfall pledge. This is exactly what it sounds like. It's more dice and it's prettier dice. In terms of holding its value, they don't really hold their value, generally speaking. Dice on these campaigns, they don't do a great job holding their value. They might not lose a ton, but they're certainly not going to bring in the big bucks either. But for myself, I find that I always need more dice in these types of games, and I do find that when I like a game, I do want to deluxify the dice, and so sadly I end up backing these, even though it's a whole game. $22 is a whole game sometimes. You can buy Dominion for $22. It's tough, but if you want a premium experience, sometimes you pay the premium price, and that's not fun. By the way, stay tuned for tomorrow's video where I talk about the top 10 worst value for your dollar games. Okay, so if you want to hear all about me trashing the worst value for your dollar games, hop on over there, and I talk about Come On a little bit too. Anyways, that is the dice situation over here. And then we have from there, we have $25 will buy you the original tiles from Massive Darkness. That's relevant because some of the free content you're getting in this campaign will make use of those tiles and give you options to utilize them. So that can be helpful there. But that also means if you don't have the original Massive Darkness, you're buying a bunch of tiles. For myself, I have Massive Darkness 1, so I will not be getting this. Will it hold its value? Honestly, I think it will. I think this game is going to elevate the popularity of what people want from this game. And Massive Darkness 1 is still around, still available, but people will possibly want to get this tile set. Although alternatively, people might just pay the full price to get the full Massive Darkness 1. It's a hard call on this one. But $25 gets you that. From there we have... Nope, I'm missing something. Where am I missing something? I feel like I'm missing something. Here we go. $10 for the Zombicide Fantasy Crossover Pack. This is one that I'll be getting this one because... Well, I'll tell you why I'll be getting it. But to begin with, this is a crossover with Zombicide. I generally find that these crossover stuff, I end up not using. I end up getting so much content that I rarely need to go deal with the hassle of pulling miniatures from another box. But ultimately, I get them because they hold their value. And in rare cases, I have done so. In rare cases, I have sat there and said, you know what? Let's mix up some Besiege with my Zombicide today. Let's grab some of those heroes and see what they can do. So in rare cases, I have utilized these crossover packs. Most of the time, I don't bother. I will say I am looking forward to using the Necromantic Dragon from Zombicide in this game. That's really the $10 alone. I justified it with that one alone. Some of the bigger bosses, I'm more likely to grab them in, utilize, cross them. It could be good, or it could be a complete waste, but generally, they do a good job holding their value, and it's Kickstarter exclusive. So these crossover packs, sometimes down the road, they go for 3-4 times their price because people want them, and a lot of people pass on them because you never need that much stuff, and you don't. But some people do. Some people will want it. From there, we have the actual gameplay add-ons. I saved these for last because these are the most fun. We have the Gates of Hell expansion for $25, ESRP $30, and by the way, good on them. They didn't put any ESRPs on anything that was Kickstarter exclusive. So this is available. This is a retail expansion. It'll be available in retail. The Gates of Hell expansion comes with a bunch of miniatures, Living Statue Mob Leader, bunch of cards, Fire Breath tokens, just a bunch of stuff. As of right now, don't back it. I'm sure it will be bundled into an all-in pledge, and that will change things, but they haven't given us anything exclusive or any reason to back it. They're charging $25. It'll be available cheaper later, and you won't have to add an extra. It's going to cost you an extra $5 shipping when they give this to you in the campaign. So ultimately, the Gates of Hell expansion, as of right now, I recommend passing on it. As of right now, I am passing on it. There'll be plenty of content to keep me busy while I wait for it to eventually show up in retail. Past that, I'm sure it'll be showing up in an all-in pledge, so I'm pretty sure I will be getting it in the end. But until that all-in pledge comes, I will not be backing this one. From there, we have the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, which is Kickstarter exclusive, which means that's sad, and that's annoying, and that's frustrating, but it's $30 for a bunch of bosses that can also be combined into some sort of final boss fight. Ultimately, the value this will hold its value. Any Kickstarter exclusive expansion on a Command campaign will generally hold its value. If the game does well, it'll hold its value for a long time. If the game does poorly, it'll hold its value for a few months. People will want this expansion. People will back the game, get the game, ditch all the extra expansions because they're not interested in spending $300 on Massive Darkness, but then they'll want it later because some of those people will like it and they won't be able to get it. So in terms of whether it'll hold its value, 100% this will hold its value. Is it worth it to yourself? That is a different question. Is $30 worth it to get a bunch of horse miniatures that look pretty cool, but also maybe not? Maybe this isn't your taste, your style? I don't really know. But a personal determination of value is up to you. If you get it and you change your mind, yes, you'll be able to make your money back and then some. And finally for now, we have 7 days left of this campaign, which probably means 2 or 3 more optional buys at this point. We have the War of Souls expansion, which for me personally, I had no interest in the sculpts going on here. I didn't like these at all, which again, keep in mind, people had the reverse opinion about preferences in this one. We'll come back to that. But it's another Kickstarter exclusive expansion, $25, same problem. It's exclusive, people will want it, it will hold its value. Yes, I'm getting it. Because it's Kickstarter exclusive and because I want everything and because I don't want to hunt it down and pay twice the price later, I am getting this expansion as well. And that covers the optional buys. So, we're going to go into a bunch of stuff, but before we do, let's first talk about Kickstarter comment toxicity. Because Kickstarter comments can be a very messy and aggressive place, and it's really unfortunate and it's really sad. And I don't know what the solution is, and the solution is certainly not me talking to a camera. But if 5 people who have been fairly aggressive in the comments watch my video and in any way change their method of communication, it'll be worth it. Honestly, if 1 person does, it'll be worth it. And here's the deal: in Kickstarter is ideally built as this, communication. It's a community. We're working together. We're building something together. And that's great. And it does it does inspire this degree of communication, of feedback that can be helpful. I mean, take Dead Reckoning, which I talked about for a while. I mean, Dead Reckoning added a gameplay pledge because there was feedback for that gameplay pledge. If people just didn't say anything, there'd be no gameplay pledge. So communication is important. That's not my question at all. But it doesn't need to be communication combined with toxicity. You can communicate. You can even say things like, listen, hey, I want this a certain way, and if it doesn't happen, I do feel I need to drop my pledge. You can say stuff like that. That's totally fine. Communication is an important part of any Kickstarter, and it will often lead to changes. It will often lead to small, not giant changes to the project, and it shouldn't. Those things will ultimately cause more harm than good. But small stuff, small pivots, small adjustments, small changes in pledge levels, or which optional buy comes in, or whether something's exclusive or not, there will always be small changes. And if you can communicate, and if you can communicate kindly and reasonably, then you're doing everyone a service. But if all you can contribute is attacking other people in the comments, why? Do you think it inspires change? Do you think it in any way helps your cause? And it's a board game. Is it worth it? Is it worth causing a single person any form of mental angst for a board game? Like, what is our priority system? I mean, I've talked about this before. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. But, like, what is the priority system we have at play here? The priority system should never be that I care so much about a board game that I will attack and assault other people. I will attack their character. I will call them troll. I will tell them to go jump in a lake. I can't even think of the kinds of things that people will say to each other over a board game. Communicate with people the way you want to be communicated with. Communicate in a way that inspires change. Even if you disagree. I disagree with people all the time. I disagree with Kickstarters all the time. I disagree with the publishers or the creators' choices all the time. And that's okay to disagree with people. In no way am I advocating for some sort of universal, everyone just, put on your little happiness hat and go back to your corner and don't say anything. I'm advocating for respectful communication, respectful disagreement. And in Kickstarters, and this is true not just in Massive Darkness, this is just true in Dead Reckoning, this is true in basically any Kickstarter where people want something. There's a way to talk to other people. And a lot of times we seem to forget that. And the anonymity of the internet gives us this pass that if we met each other at a convention, if we were talking at a convention, would we talk to each other the same way? Would we be as dismissive of each other? I mean, I hope not. Dear Lord, I really hope not. But that's basically it. Timestamps were below in case you wanted to skip that. But from there, let's cover the problems. Let's cover the problems that people are upset about. Because forgetting the way people are communicating, let's cover the different things that people are upset about to different degrees, and my own opinion, 2 cents, and thoughts about it. And this is something where one of my regrets about the Dead Reckoning video that I did, where I talked about people being upset, one of my regrets is that I talked about why people were upset, but I didn't devil's advocate all those arguments. And I think that's because I was biased. I was on the side of people who are upset. And so I didn't sit there and say, I did say in the video, hey, there's another side to the story, AEG, if you want to talk, let us know. And by the way, AEG interview will be going up later this week. But I didn't myself propose all the alternative side to things. And so in this Command campaign, I'm going to talk about the things people are upset about, but I'm also going to devil's advocate them. And yes, I am a Command fanboy to an extent, but let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. So to begin with, this is the easiest one because I've seen the least feedback and communication on this one, but I have had a lot of people ask me to talk about this, which is the use of angels in this game. This is a game that has a very heavy religious tilt to what's going on, but the religion is the negative. You're fighting against angels. You're attacking angels. You're being attacked by angels. The expansion campaign is called Heavenfall. This is like, it's, for people who feel strongly about religion, this can feel like an attack on religion. Why are you fighting against the Archangel Michael? That's insensitive. And for what it's worth, I do hear people who feel that way. For myself, I don't, and the reasons I have are basically twofold, which is, number one, well, twofold. I think I need either of 2 criteria to be met for me to be offended. The first is I have to in some way believe that you're trying to attack my religion, which I don't. I don't think Command's trying to attack anyone. I think best case scenario, they just didn't take into account that people would be offended by this. Or they took into account and just assumed it's a non-important enough, non-large enough sector. So I don't feel attacked on a religious level. And then 2 is you'd have to in some way violate my own perception of religion, of what an angel should be or whatnot. And they don't. At the end of the day, these angels are angels. They're little miniatures that with a very cartoony style. And the way I would put it is, if these angels were a good guy, if these angels were on the good side, would that be enough to change your opinion? Because if so, what you're effectively saying is, my vision of an angel is this cartoony artwork with a little goose on its head and holding a sword and shield, and that's my view of an angel. But if it's a bad angel, that hurts my view of an angel. For me, my own sense of, and again, I'm not saying this to be dismissive of anyone who has this complaint. I understand where you're coming from. I do. I understand seeing things. It's always a fine line of what is disrespectful and what is being overly sensitive. But my own opinion of an angel is not some being with a goose on its head holding a sword. And whether that angel is good or bad, that's not my perception of an angel. So I'm not personally bothered by any form of religious twist this game is giving. But again, I understand people who are. I understand. I guess I'm validating the feeling while saying I don't share it myself, and that's why. Number 2, the ability to be one-shot in this campaign. Now, something, if you've read enough of the comments, if you've read the back and forth, there was definitely a lot of content, or a lot of discussion about the idea that in this game, you could theoretically be one-shot by a horde. You could be one-shot if you're playing at a certain player count. If you're playing at 3, 4, 5 players, you could basically open a door and then just die. No strategy around it, no ability to evade, to stop it from happening, just through sheer bad luck, and not an issue of risking things and having it not work out in your favor, but literally just through bad luck, you could just be one shot and die. And that's bad. And it is bad, by the way. It is, for what it's worth. And to that I have 2 answers, which is 1, if it's enough of a problem, the designers of this game are passionate. They love the game. They're interested. You can see that this is not some, I can't speak for CMON. CMON is a corporate entity to a degree, which is fine. Businesses are. But the designers certainly want the best for this game. The designers are certainly not the corporate mindset. And from that stance, I assume they'll change that. And if they don't, it's an easy house rule. Now, I'm not saying house rule the entire game. As soon as a game requires 4 or 5 house rules to fix it, I'm out. I'm not here to fix your game. But I'm always happy to make a small, minor adjustment. If it's a single adjustment to make my game work for me, I'll do it. So yes, if I have to house rule, if at earlier stages, at certain levels, you get one shot, then instead you just reduce yourself to 1 health, there are many easy ways to house rule past that. Is it a valid complaint? Yes. You should not be able to be one shot in a game where no strategical risk went into that decision. So, it's a valid complaint, but for me, I'm not going to let it ruin my experience. If the designers don't fix it, I will. Again, it's one thing. If it's a whole bunch, who knows? Number 3, all the add-ons. There's a lot of add-ons in this campaign, and we have 7 days left. And to that, I do. I said in my opening video where I talked about this campaign, I said that expect a lot of add-ons. This is going to end up at a $300 to $400 price tag, and we're already at the $300 mark, depending on what you get. So yeah, and we haven't even talked about the plastic token pack. That's going to show up too, I'm sure. So there are a lot of add-ons in this campaign. And that certainly does trigger a sense of FOMO, of fear of missing out, of, well, I want everything, but I don't want everything, so forget it, I'm going to drop this campaign. I think you're missing out. I think that either of these $100 or $145 levels are going to give you a ton of content. We just covered all the stretch goals, all the daily unlocks, and there's still 7 days to go. There's going to be probably close to double that content. Maybe not double, but probably close to double the stretch goals and daily unlocks are going to be left in this campaign. That's a lot of content for your $100 pledge, and I understand wanting all the add-ons. I understand feeling like you're being pushed out, that they don't value you as a customer. They don't value you enough that they're making you choose between spending a ton of money or getting nothing, and I hear that. But if you don't back this campaign at one of these 2 levels, you're shooting yourself in the foot to punish them. There's a ton of content there. There's a lot of good game here. Do you need the Horsemen of the Apocalypse? Do you really need this, considering all the other expansions there are, all the other content there is? Do you really need a few more miniatures? Do you really need this Gates of Hell expansion where you can pick out retail anyway? There's a lot of content being offered here, and you certainly don't need to get it all in order to get a good gaming experience. Will I be getting it? Yeah, because when I like these games, I want it all, and if I don't like these games, they hold their value. But should you feel like you shouldn't get the campaign because of it? That's a personal decision. Do I think you're hurting yourself? Yeah, I do. Number 4 is the miniature style. The miniature style, and this is a big one. This was, oh my gosh, people have been losing their minds about it. Let's go find those little unicorns. That was the best one by far. So basically, from day one, people have been complaining about the miniature style in this campaign. They've been complaining that the miniature style is this horrible cartoonish thing going on where they can't figure out if they're being serious, if they're being cartoony, over the top. I totally do, because, going back to these miniatures over here, a bunch of people like these miniatures, and I'm like, they're okay. So I hear not being interested, and people want them to shift. Make these part of the free pledge, and make these unicorns and little cherubs part of the optional buys. Why are you doing this to us? And there's all these accusations that CMON's doing it because they know that no one would ever buy unicorns. I'd buy the unicorns. I would, okay? And I don't know who else does or doesn't. I haven't been keeping track of who likes, who doesn't like, but I would certainly buy the unicorns and the little angels. I think they're adorable and cutesy, and I love something different. Now keep in mind, this is not about my taste versus yours. Rather, this is about the general conversation of everyone's going to have their own taste. For myself, I value something different. For myself, I value having a dungeon crawler that gives me miniatures that I haven't seen for the most part, that feel unique, that feel different, that feel, even that witch that I don't even care about at all. I don't have that in another one of my games. And I value that. I value the table presence of having something that doesn't look the same as everything else that I have, that everything else that's out there. But I understand that you might not. I do. But also pay attention to the comments and see how many people do like it. Because at the end of the day, you're never going to make everyone happy. You're just not. That is, again, something I've talked about in the past in videos. You have to try to go with something and make as many people happy as possible. And past that, it is what it is. You roll the dice, you go with what you can, and if you pivot too strongly and try to make everyone happy, it's going to be, you're not going to win. You're not going to. So yes, of course the miniature style might not be to your taste. And of course, that should affect your decision to back. It should. Why would you back a game where half the miniatures are something that you don't like? But that's a decision you have to make for yourself. As far as is CMON intentionally trying to trap you into the garbage miniatures and sell you the amazing cool ones, I doubt it. I don't think that makes sense. I mean, if that was the case, just make them all good and cool. If CMON really took a stance of these miniatures are junk and no one would buy them, why would they design them? What kind of rationale goes behind that? What kind of rationale goes behind the idea of let's make bad miniatures because they cost the same much to make, but they're bad and they'll tick people off, and we'll give those for free, and then the good miniatures will lock behind a paywall. Just make them all good. If CMON knew what people would like or not like, they'd make them all what people would like, wouldn't they? Are unicorns cheaper to make for some reason? The rationale behind it does not make sense. Ideally, CMON thinks we're going to like everything, or as many people as possible will like everything. In terms of, they didn't sit there and say, you know what, let's pick all the bad sculpts, the ones we don't like in-house, and give those for free. That makes no sense whatsoever. It just doesn't make sense. Whether you like it or not, that's your own decision. Is CMON trying to bait you? No, they're not. And the next one is a tough one, because the next one, I don't know what's going on, and I just don't know. But there's a lot of Massive Darkness 1 content basically being given for free in this campaign. And yes, you have backers in the comments saying, well, it's being given for free, and so don't be upset about it. But rightfully so, other people are saying nothing is free. So anyone who doesn't have Massive Darkness 1 is looking at this campaign and saying, you're giving us a ton of stuff in the base game, in the base pledges. You gave us a bunch of stretch goals and even some optional buys that relate to Massive Darkness 1 campaign. So you're catering to someone else. You're not catering to me. I don't care if that person gets it, but why are you making me pay for it? Why don't you give me something else in my pledge instead? Because that person is right. Anything you put into a campaign, there's no such thing as free shipping. There's no such thing as free content. It's all factored into the price, and it can instead be supplemented by something else. Maybe there could have been 3 more miniatures instead of that content. Maybe. And there's a lot of cards, a lot of content locked behind that everyone is paying for to some degree, but only some people are benefiting from it. So what's the rationale? So to begin with, the first thing that's worth understanding is it's not as easy as you might think for them to say, well, these people will get it and these people won't. The cost of the cards, and it's primarily cards, the cost of giving you a ton of extra cards to make your Massive Darkness 1 stuff work with Massive Darkness 2 may well be less than the cost of factoring a different option and a different SKU for people to track. Meaning a SKU is a standard stock keeping unit or whatever it is, and it basically is the idea that when this game is being pulled from the shelf to ship to backers, they have to pick what people bought. They have to pick, they bought the Heavenfall, they bought this optional buy, they bought that optional buy, they bought this expansion. Every item that is touched has a cost. And is the cost of that item, is the cost of printing a bunch of cards less than the cost of just adding another option to manage, another batch of mistakes that can now happen, another item that people have to pick and pack? And I don't know the answer to that. But I can tell you this, CMON likes money, as most companies do. And they are probably not incentivized to give away free stuff that no one will benefit from. Which means either one of two things is happening. And one of them makes them a horrible, evil overlord, and the other just makes it unfortunate. The unfortunate one is, like I said, the cost may just not be worth it. It might just be easier to give people a batch of cards, even if half of them are going into the garbage or on eBay or whatever. I don't know why they go on eBay, because everyone's getting them, but whatever. So it's easier to give people a batch of cards and just say, here, enjoy, rather than to say, you know, offer another option for people to pick. Or alternatively, and this is the one that's they're evil, they're horrible, they're trying to give you this content so that you are incentivized to go out and buy Massive Darkness 1. Maybe. Who knows? But I will say this. While you're sitting there complaining about how horrible it is, and while you're complaining about the fact that there's no value, when you get those cards, don't throw them out. Don't. Because Massive Darkness 2 will be coming to retail. And that means someone else who missed this campaign who has Massive Darkness 1 might want to buy those cards on eBay. So even if you have no use for them, understand they'll still get you something down the road. So just don't throw them out. Do me a favor. When you get the cards, do not throw them out by any means. I will note, as a note, it's worth mentioning at this point, that in the comments, Isa mentioned, in the comments from CMON, Isa from CMON mentioned the idea that there might be some options for buying Massive Darkness 1 content. So factor that in. I don't know if it's going to happen. The fact that they mentioned it at all makes me think there will be something going on, but I don't know what that something is. So take that with a grain of salt, figure it out, but just keep an eye on the campaign for the next 7 days. And then lastly, the biggest thing people are upset about, there's no Quackalope. There's no Quackalope roaming monster or Quackalope class, and it's unfortunate. And the people have been calling for that. The people have been shouting and screaming in the comments that they want a Quackalope roaming monster or something. And that one I can't defend CMON at all for. That one's unfortunate. That one is, I don't have a defense. I've tried thinking through what makes sense in terms of why would they not add a Quackalope to this game. I mean, what possible reason? If it's because they're worried about people being upset about the miniature sculpts, that's clearly happening anyway. So I don't have, because that would be the only defense I could have thought of. You know, why would you want to upset a bunch of people over the sculpts? That's reasonable. Don't do that just to make me happy. I understand that. But you're not making them happy anyway. Come on. So why is there not a Quackalope miniature in this game? I don't have an answer. So you're right. 1 out of 6 complaints is a legitimate complaint that I can't hold against CMON. I can't devil's advocate. I can't think it out. Hopefully there are 7 days left of this campaign. Hopefully we'll see a change. There's still time. There's still time to make a change. That's basically it. So, should you back it? It's been a long video. It's not over yet. Should you back it? Yes, like I said already. Yes, you should back it. If you are interested in this game, back it. If you are annoyed by the add-ons, don't back those. Will they hold their value? Yes. If you're going to back them, what should you back? What would I recommend you back if you're completely on the fence? Well, let's start with costs, okay? Because if you want all the gameplay stuff currently, you're looking at $225. And again, that will go up before the campaign ends. But you're looking at $225 to get all the gameplay stuff, including all 3 of these optional buys over here. If you want to get the gameplay plus all the other the miniatures for the the dungeon, the Massive Darkness 1 tiles, all that stuff, then you're looking at $327. And finally, if you want the Game Genic stuff as well, that's going to add another $50 to bring you to $377. So what do I recommend? I recommend dropping the Game Genic stuff entirely. Buy some sleeves elsewhere. I recommend Sleeve Kings. I'm a big fan of their company. I like their sleeves. Good compromise of quality and price. So drop that. I recommend if you are focused on a budget, then just get the campaign, just get the Heavenfall Pledge, or even just the Hellscape Pledge. If you don't care about the campaign, just get the Hellscape Pledge. And then get these 2 optional buys that are Kickstarter exclusive, the $30 Four Horsemen and the $25 War of Souls. You could if you're just getting the Hellscape Pledge, that could be $155 out the door as of right now before additional add-ons are added. So yeah, there'll be more stuff. But right now, you could still get this game for under $200, even with extras, even with Kickstarter exclusive extras. And the campaign probably won't be Kickstarter exclusive. I haven't seen anything about it being Kickstarter exclusive, so the campaign you can pick up later. Just get the base pledge and those 2 expansions, as well as any other Kickstarter exclusive expansions that are announced. The rest of the stuff, you can do without. Or if you're like me and you want it all, get it all. But I'm just saying, if you're focused on that budget aspect. That's basically it. Whatever you buy here, with the exception of the game genic stuff, and with the exception of the dice, basically everything else will hold its value. Everything else will be hard to get, and even the dice might be, by the way. But the game genic stuff I'm more skeptical of. Past that, this has been Alex Radcliffe from BoardGameCo. This is 35 minutes of Massive Darkness 2. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you're ready for your, take a little 20-minute breather, because in another 20 minutes or so, we have Wormwood Gaming Table Should You Back It coming up. And if you thought Massive Darkness 2 was expensive, well, you ain't seen nothing yet. Until next time, I am Alex Radcliffe from BoardGameCo. You can subscribe down below. Don't forget, if we hit enough subscribers, that giveaway will be, upped and upped. If you want to enter the giveaway, just comment on this video. Tell Come On you want a Quackalope Mini. Tell them. It's important. It has to happen. Until next time, I am Alex, for the 4th time now, and have a good one.